Hey everyone, this is Ellen. I am the FNTP and content creator behind Made Whole Nutrition, and I'm here today to show you how you can use my brand board Canva template to define your brand elements. So we're going to talk about how to pick the pictures to define your brand aesthetic, your hex code colors, and your fonts. And these are great to have defined because you can use them across all of your different resources and marketing and educational materials. So it's really nice once you have them defined to make everything cohesive and beautiful. And so I'm going to walk you through the process of how to do this. So if you haven't already downloaded this brand board PDF, I would recommend doing that. It's all over my website. You just have to put in your email and I'll send you this template link. So once you open the PDF, this link leads to the editable Canva template. So I'm going to show you. So once you click edit design, this is completely yours. Any changes you make are yours. I can't see it. No one else can see it. In fact, we're going to rename this brand board. All right, so if you already have a logo for your practice, that's great. That will go right up here at the top. You can go to upload media from your computer. I'm going to bring it up to the top, fit it in here. If you don't have a logo, that is completely fine. And in fact, you might actually be doing this brand board first as part of the process of defining your general brand aesthetic, your colors, and your fonts that you want to use in your logo. So no worries if you don't have a logo defined. If you do, you're going to want to use this to guide your colors. So I'll show you how Canva lets you pull hex codes from images, and that's what you're going to do for your logo as well. I'm not going to do that for mine because it's black and white, and I just kind of consider those colors givens. Everyone can use them, and they don't have to be a part of your defined color palette. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is pick an image for this first photo box, and this is going to help define, again, our general aesthetic, but also our neutrals. So I want you to think of a texture that you're really drawn to or a material that you're really drawn to. So perhaps this is marble or wood or leather. Maybe you really like brick or stucco or tile. Maybe it's a type of metal, something that you are really drawn to, and that is generally made of neutral colors. So if I go to photos, I'm going to search marble because I really like the clean look of that. And again, I'm going to be pulling my neutrals from this. So if you want to use a lot of colors, great. I would recommend sticking with something that's either has grays in it or browns in it. So if I click on this first color swatch, Canva actually pulled some of these hex codes for me already. So if I go here to the photo colors, you can see in this photo, Canva pulled this dark charcoal gray. So I'm going to use that as my dark neutral. And then over on the other end of my palette, I'm going to do my light neutral. So I'm going to do this light gray. So again, I would shoot for like dark charcoal or a brown or maybe even a navy blue for this dark neutral. And then for the light neutral, again, like a gray or cream or tan. It could be like a light blue or a light green, but you're going to want to save the more bold colors for these primary brand colors. All right, so those are my two neutrals. Next, I'm going to go to this second photo. And for this one, I want you to think about something you're inspired by in nature. I really like olive branches, but perhaps it's a different type of flower or a tree, or maybe you really like mountains or a beach, or maybe you really like clouds. Another thing to keep in mind when you're picking this second color is to think of colors that you know you're drawn to. So think of your closet or your car or most of the decorations in your home. Like what's your favorite color? What color do you know that really speaks to you? And that's the color that you can kind of keep in mind when you're picking this second image. So I know I really like greens, so this is perfect for me. I'm going to pull this image Again, drag it over and it will snap into place. I'll go back to my color picker, photo colors, and Canva has pulled some nice greens from here. I actually really like this one. You have the option to tweak it up here in the color. If you go to color, you can kind of drag it around a little bit, but I really liked what Canva pulled for me. These next two are your secondary colors. And so again, if you can pull them from this image, that is really easy, and they tend to go really nicely together. So I think I'm gonna pull this lighter green. I like that a lot. Another way to do this is if you select your primary color. So I know I like this primary color, that's already defined. So I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to go and just do a variation of it by dragging and doing a lighter version. So it's still in the same color family, but it's going to be coordinated. All right, so again, if you can pick all three of these colors from that photo, great, that's easy. Or if you have your logo already defined, I would recommend pulling these colors from your logo. However, if you don't and you're stumped, this is where the third picture can come in. For this one, I would recommend searching another texture or food. If you're a nutrition business, a nutrition practice, the food helps kind of define this aesthetic that has to do with whole, colorful, bright foods. I'm actually going to go with basket weave for this one because I want that to contrast with the smooth, clean marble on my other texture. And I also want to get some browns into my palette. So basket weave is great for this. There we go. So for this final color, I'm going to pull from this image. Oh yes, Canva has a nice taupe color. I really like that. Great. And if you had already defined these colors, I would just recommend picking a final picture for this last one, again, to help define the aesthetic of your brand. One note about picking these pictures, if I go to photos and I already know what primary color I like, I can actually use that as a filter. So I can come up here to colors and, you know, maybe I want kind of like a green color. I have a green primary color, so I can apply that. Apply filters. So even though I search basket weave, now Canva's showing me all the green basket weave images. So I would play around with that, find something you like. Just a note, if you have Canva Pro, you're going to have a lot more images to pick from. And if you don't have Canva Pro, you can always pull these images and use them to define your colors. You're just going to have a hard time when you're downloading this document. It's going to have a watermark on it. All right, so now that we've defined our colors, I just want to make sure that I remember them and I save them because once I download this as a PDF, I won't be able to see what that color is anymore. So you come up here to the color. This 5 or 6 letter code is called the hex code. So I'm just going to copy that and I'm going to put it right under the color just for easy access in the future. So that's kind of how you do that. I won't show you all of them. You get the idea. You select the color, copy and paste. Okay, great. So now I'm going to show you a little bit about how to pick fonts. And this is a whole art of picking and matching fonts. So this is just going to be pretty basic, but I hope that it's helpful and I hope that it simplifies the process for you. So I recommend defining 4 fonts. This body font down here has already been defined for you. So this is the font that I've used across all the templates that you purchase on my site. And so you'll find that if you change this body font, if you try to change that on the template, it's going to just mess up the spacing and the sizing. So you'll have to do a lot more tweaking to get it to look balanced and evenly spaced. So honestly, I would keep it easy and just keep this body font as Xenica. All right, the next one you're going to want to pick is the title font. So some people like to do something scrolly for this, which is totally fine. I'm going to search calligraphy. You just want to make sure that it's legible, right? If I do this one, like it might be cute, but if I'm printing a bunch of materials, it might be kind of difficult to read depending upon what it says. So I would pick a font that is legible. Another thing that you can do is pick a really classic serif or sans serif font. So perhaps it's a bold one like this. Again, you would never use this as a body font. It's very bold, it's clear, it's easy to read. That's a great title font. Another way to do this is to pick one that maybe looks kind of normal and then make it uppercase and bold. And then that becomes a really nice title font. So the one that I really like and that is kind of standard across my designs is Benedict. It's scrolly, but it's relatively easy to read. So, and I'm going to, again, just use that as a way of remembering what font I used. Now for the heading font, I really like to do something that's all capital. That's just me. So this one is this Abhaya Libre. You'll notice that if I just select the font by itself, it's actually nothing fancy. It kind of looks like Times New Roman, but when I make it all capital, it looks really classic. I really like it. But you can really play around, do whatever you want. Pick a heading font that you like. Maybe you did a bold title font and maybe your heading font is a little bit more scrolly. All right, finally, I am going to do an accent font. So the way I recommend doing this is actually picking a font that you've already determined and then doing a variation of it. So perhaps you're going to use this Accentica Light as your variation accent font. So change it to that, and I made it italic. Maybe I'm going to make it bold. Maybe I'm going to make it all caps. However you want to play around with that font so that it looks different than the other one you have defined, but it still coordinates because it's actually the same font. You might need to play around. Perhaps your heading font looks best. So I use Articulate Light for the heading. So now maybe I'll do that for my accent font, and I want it to be italicized and lowercase. So again, see, they coordinate, but they're not quite the same. So that's how I recommend selecting fonts that complement one another. Again, you'll of course use the title font and the heading font and the body font. The accent font is on some of the handout templates, not all of them. If you want to use these same fonts on your website, and maybe if you use Microsoft Word or Google Docs, some of them will be in those platforms, but not all of them. Most of these fonts are specific to Canva. So what I would recommend in that case is just finding one that looks similar, or just using completely different ones. You'll actually notice that the fonts I use on my website are different than the ones I use on my templates. They're similar, but not exactly the same, and I think that's fine. All right, so this is how you make a customized brand board. So I love it. It's so fun to have all of these elements defined, and it just makes you feel so coordinated. It makes everything look really professional, really clean, really cohesive. It just makes your life so much easier to just have fonts and colors to go back to. The final little tip I have for you is if you have defined these, go back to your home and you can go into Brand Kit. And this actually lets you put in your logo. It lets you upload any fonts if there's one that Canva doesn't have. And it also lets you add in these colors, these hex codes. Again, that was why it was so nice to define that hex code. And then whenever you are making a design, that's going to show up on the sidebar. And so you just can easy access. I already know that I have this color defined. Super slick. I love it. Makes life a lot more easy. So I hope that you found this to be helpful. Check out the rest of my tutorials and let me know if there's anything else that I can do to help empower you in your practice as you empower others to heal and make change in their life for the better. Thanks and have a great day.